What if you could look at a child today and already sense the adult they are likely to become? What about you? Did you have a happy childhood, a hard one, a normal one, or one that looked normal from the outside but felt different from the inside? In this video, we will explore the good and bad impacts of our childhood on our lives. Not exactly, not perfectly. A child is not a machine, and a future is not a straight line. But still, you would notice something. You would notice the child who walks into a room expecting to be welcomed. You would notice the child who enters the same room already scanning for danger. You would notice the one who speaks freely because someone at home listens. The one who performs because attention must be earned. The one who stays quiet because peace is safer than truth. The one who makes everyone laugh because tension in the house has always needed someone to break it. Now ask yourself something more uncomfortable. What kind of child were you? Did your childhood feel happy, hard, normal? Did it look stable from the outside while something inside you never felt fully safe? Did you grow up with a home that held you together, or with a home you spent years trying to survive emotionally? This is where the question becomes deeper than trauma. Because childhood not only shapes people who were hurt, it shapes everyone. A peaceful childhood leaves fingerprints too. So does a chaotic one. So does divorce. So does emotional distance. So does a father who was there but unreachable. A mother who loved you but overwhelmed you. A family that stayed together but never felt warm. Or a family that broke apart but still somehow protected your heart. The strange part is that when childhood wounds a person, we call it damage. But when childhood gives someone stability, confidence, trust, rhythm, emotional balance, and the ability to return home without fear, we rarely call it anything. We call it normal. But normal is not neutral. Normal is a gift repeated so often that it becomes invisible. A child does not begin life by asking philosophical questions about identity. A child begins by absorbing atmosphere, the tone of a voice, the sound of keys at the door, the silence after an argument, the way adults look at each other when they think no one is watching. The way love arrives, the way love disappears, the way mistakes are handled, the way sadness is treated, the way truth is punished, ignored, welcomed, or avoided. Before you had a personality, you had a climate. And over time, that climate became familiar. This is one reason two adults can stand inside the same relationship and live in completely different emotional worlds. One person hears a delayed reply and thinks, they must be busy. Another hears the same silence and feels the floor drop beneath them. One person receives criticism and feels corrected. Another receives criticism and feels erased. One person experiences peace and relaxes into it. Another experiences peace and becomes suspicious because peace has never lasted long enough to trust. The event is the same. The expectation is not. Psychologists sometimes talk about internal working models, the early emotional maps we build from our first relationships. Not maps in the literal sense, but deep assumptions about what love does, what people do, what closeness costs, and whether the self is safe in the presence of another person. A child with dependable care may learn, without ever putting it into words, that the world can be approached. That conflict does not always mean abandonment. That affection can remain after disappointment. That a person can leave the room and still come back. A child raised in instability may learn a different physics. Love can vanish. Voices can change quickly. Adults can become unpredictable. Safety can depend on reading moods before anyone speaks. Attention can feel like oxygen. Distance can feel like death. And from the outside, years later, this may simply look like personality. He is independent. She is intense. He is avoidant. She is difficult. He is ambitious. She is needy. He is cold. She is dramatic. But under many adult behaviors, there is an older logic, one that began before the person had enough language to explain it. Take an ordinary moment. Someone you care about changes their tone. Nothing dramatic, no screaming, no betrayal, just a small shift, a shorter answer, a pause, a look away. If you grew up inside emotional safety, you may notice it, maybe ask about it, maybe let it pass. But if your childhood taught you that small changes were warnings, your body may react before your mind has time to investigate. Suddenly, you are not only hearing a tone, you are hearing every old doorway, every old silence, every moment when something was wrong and no one explained it. This is how the past hides inside the present. not as memory, as prediction. And here's where the idea becomes uncomfortable, because childhood can create pain, but it can also create strength. A difficult childhood can make someone unusually sensitive. A child who had to read the room may become an adult who reads people with terrifying precision. A child who felt unseen may become an artist obsessed with making invisible things visible. A child who could not control the home may become a creator, a performer, a founder, a builder of worlds. Some people do not make art because they have extra imagination. They make art because ordinary life was never enough to hold what they felt. Pain can become music, absence can become cinema, shame can become comedy, loneliness can become poetry. A broken home can become a voice powerful enough to reach millions of strangers. But this is the part we romanticize too easily. Because transforming pain into beauty is not the same as becoming free from pain. The world may applaud the wound while the person still lives inside it. A famous artist can have money, desire, admiration, and a crowd screaming their name, yet still return to a hotel room feeling like a child no one came back for. Meanwhile, someone with a simple life, a job from Monday to Friday, a family dinner, children laughing in the next room, and a home that feels safe at the end of the day, may possess something no audience can give: a harbor. We often mistake intensity for depth and peace for mediocrity. But maybe the ordinary person with a healthy home is not living a smaller life. Maybe they are living a life that does not require constant transformation of pain just to remain bearable. That changes the question. Instead of asking why some people become extraordinary, maybe we should ask what they had to lose or never had in order to need extraordinary things so badly. This does not mean a happy childhood guarantees happiness, or a hard childhood guarantees suffering. Human beings are more complex than that. A stable home can still produce a lost adult. A broken home can still produce someone generous, grounded, and deeply alive. But childhood gives the first definition of home, and later we may spend our lives trying to return to it, escape it, rebuild it, or force someone else to finally repair it. This is why romantic relationships can become so explosive. They do not only involve attraction, they involve old expectations waking up inside new bodies. A woman who grew up trying to be seen by an emotionally absent father may find herself drawn to men who are impressive, distant, unavailable, or hard to reach. Not because she wants pain in any simple way, but because some part of her is still trying to win warmth from the original cold place. A man who never felt approved by his father may turn success into a courtroom where he keeps presenting evidence of his worth. Another person, raised around emotional chaos, may mistake calm love for boredom and unstable love for chemistry. These patterns are not limited to women, men, fathers, or mothers. They are human. The specific story changes, but the structure is often similar. We do not only choose people. Sometimes we choose emotional weather. A certain kind of distance feels familiar. A certain kind of intensity feels like love. A certain kind of criticism feels like home. A certain kind of silence feels so old that we trust it more than peace. And without noticing, we may also become the weather someone else has to survive. This is the reversal many people miss. You are not only the child shaped by a home, you can become part of the emotional climate around another person. You may demand reassurance from someone who is already exhausted. You may punish silence with more silence. You may test love instead of receiving it. You may call it honesty when it is actually fear speaking too loudly. You may call it standards when it is actually an old wound trying to control the room. Not because you are cruel, because you learned something early, and the lesson became automatic. Imagine a child watching you now, not listening to what you claim to believe, but absorbing how you react when you are tired, hurt, ashamed, jealous, disappointed, or afraid. That child may not remember the exact words, but they may remember the climate. The body remembers patterns before the mind can explain them. This is why awareness matters. Not the shallow kind of awareness that turns life into labels. Not the internet version where every behavior becomes a diagnosis. Real awareness is quieter. It is the moment you pause and realize that your reaction may be larger than the present situation. It is the moment you ask whether this person actually abandoned you, or whether an older part of you expected abandonment before the conversation even began. It is the moment you notice that the peace you have been dismissing as boring may actually be unfamiliar safety, or that the chaos you have been calling passion may simply be the only version of love your nervous system recognizes. The goal is not to blame your parents forever. It is not to worship a happy childhood or condemn a broken one. It is not to pretend that family structure alone explains a human life. The deeper truth is more mysterious. Your childhood becomes the first world your personality learns to make sense of. If that world was safe, you may carry safety so naturally that you barely notice it. If that world was unstable, you may carry instability so deeply that you mistake it for yourself. But you are not only the child who absorbed the room, you are also the adult who can finally turn on the light, look around, and ask a question no child could ask. Is this really who I am? Or is this the home I learned to carry inside me? And maybe freedom does not begin when you erase the past. Maybe it begins when you stop letting the first world you knew decide every room you enter next. Lucid Order. Question everything.